Okay, so in this next section, we're starting with lesson 41. We're going to be doing adding and subtracting fractions. I love adding and subtracting fractions. I'm super excited about this. We're starting out with like denominators, and what that means is that my denominators are the same. So if we call them like denominators, it means that they match. So if I have common denominators, what do you think a common denominator is? Yes.
If you're adding two fractions, then if it's a common denominator, both denominators are the same.
They're the same. So what's another name that I just told you guys we could use for common denominators? Yeah. Like denominators. So you may hear both terms. A common denominator is going to be really common as we start getting into adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Okay, so we want to make sure that our denominator is the same, that they are common or they are like. So if I have 2/4, how would I shade that on this diagram? What would I do? Yeah, color half of it. So I would color 2 of the 4 squares plus 1/4. Okay, can I see how much that would equal?
Yes.
How much?
3/4.
3/4. Okay, I have 3 total squares shaded out of 4. Okay, now the reason I can just add my numerators together, remember my numerator is my top number. The reason I get to just add my numerators together is because the denominator is the same. I'm adding the same number of pieces out of the same total. Does that make sense? They both are out of 4. Okay, they both have 4 total pieces here. But I have 2 here plus 1 here, so that makes 3, and it's still out of 4. The denominator's not going to change. It's going to stay the same. Okay? Let's look at another one. As long as the denominators are the same, you're going to keep the denominators and just add or subtract the numerators. Nothing changes on the bottom. The only thing that changes is the top number. So if I have 7 minus 4, what would my numerator be? 3. What is my denominator?
10.
It stays the same. It's still 10. Okay? It is pretty easy. Not too bad so far. Okay, the next one. Brad mixed 1 and 1/4. So what kind of number is 1 and 1/4? A mixed number. Very good. Okay, so a mixed number can also be added. It doesn't have to be just a plain fraction. So I have 1 and 1/4 cups of juice concentrate with 1 and 2/4 cups of water. I want to find the total amount by adding 1 and 1/4 and 1 and 2/4. So what do you think I need to do for this? Yes, ma'am.
I think you should first start off with you have 2 whole numbers and you have 3 out of 4.
Okay, so I've got 2 whole numbers there. What are those whole numbers? Yeah. 1 and 1. Okay, if I'm adding, because it tells me I'm adding, what would I do with those 2 ones? Add them together. So my whole number is going to be 2. Okay, well then what do I do with my fraction pieces here? I have 1/4 plus 2/4. This is just like the drawing I had a second ago. My denominator is going to stay what? 4. It'll stay 4. It's the same. All I'm doing is working with the numerator. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So my final answer is 2 and 3/4. 2 and 3/4 what? Cups of juice. Because once I mix juice and water, now it's a juice. It's no longer just water. So I would have cups of juice for my answer. So my total answer, my final answer, is 2 and 3/4 cups of juice. Is everybody with me so far?
Yes.
You got to be with me on this lesson, because as we continue to go along, when we start adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, you've got to have this part down first before we can do anything else. So make sure you ask me questions if you have a question before we keep going. Okay, here's another example. There were 2.5 chicken pot pies in the refrigerator. Tony ate 1.5 of them. To find the number of pot pies left in the refrigerator, we're going to subtract 2.5 minus 1.5. So the first thing I want to do is look at my whole numbers. Okay, I've got a 2 and I have a 1. Okay, how can I do that? What do I do? It tells me, right?
Yes.
What's it tell me?
Subtract.
Subtract 2 and 1. Those are my whole numbers. So my whole number is now going to be 1. Okay, well, if I subtract my fractions, I have 1/2 minus 1/2. Think about that for a second without even thinking about numerators and denominators. If I have a half and I subtract a half, what am I left with?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay? You still have that reasoning, that math sense. Okay, think about some of these things before you start writing them down on paper. I wouldn't write this. Okay, we're not going to write fractions that have 0 over 2. 0 of nothing, or 0 of 2, 0 of any part is just nothing. It's 0. So we can just leave my answer as 1 pot pie. You do not need to include this part here. It doesn't make sense to you. You just make a whole number. Okay, how are we doing so far? Okay, then I want to do one. You're going to do A, and then we're going to check it. So on your whiteboards, I want you to write the letter A and put your answer for what you think it should be. If you need just a sheet of paper, you can use it. Uh-oh. Where's your red or green one that you got for Christmas? Most of you are showing me 3/10, which is correct.
Oh, I thought it was.
Okay. Don't forget, the denominator stays the same. If it's already the same, they're common. They are like denominators. You want it to stay the same. Okay, a very common mistake that I would find, even with 6th graders, even with 7th graders when I taught 7th graders, and sometimes 8th graders, they still will want to add because they just start working so fast that they're not thinking about the denominator. That stays the same. The only thing you're changing is the numerator, okay? All right, go ahead and do B on your whiteboards, and then you can check. Hold them up so I can see them. Good. Yes. Fabulous. Wonderful. Does the 4 change?
No.
No, the denominator does not change. The only thing I am subtracting are the numerators. So 3 minus 2 is 1. The 4 stays the same. You good? Okay, now look at C and D. These are different. Why are they different? Luke?
Because they have a whole number and
Yes.
a fraction.
And what is that called?
A mixed number.
A mixed number. Very good. So we are going to add our whole numbers together. Then we will add our fractions together. Show me your answers when you have an answer. Good. I saw yours. Yours is good. Good. Beautiful, guys. Great job. Double check. Don't forget your fraction pieces. You're adding. Good. Okay, a lot of you are showing me this. Okay, why is it 3? I only have, if I'm looking at my whole numbers, I only have 1 plus 1, which is 2, right? So how do I get 3? Yes, what do I do?
Since you have 2 halves, you put them together and it makes a whole number, so 3.
Very good, because I've got 2 halves, Crosby said. 1/2 plus another half makes a whole. So that would be 2 over 2 if I wrote it in fraction form. But we know that that's representing 1 whole, so 2 plus 1 equals my final answer, which is 3. Very good. All right, D is subtracting mixed numbers. Be careful, you are subtracting, not adding. Okay, first thing you want to do is pay attention to your whole numbers. Get your whole number, then subtract your fractions. Combine them. Show me what you got. Good. Awesome. Yes. Yes. You added your numerators. Yes. You added your numerators too. You added everything actually. It's subtracting.
Oh, subtracting.
Subtract, subtract. Yes. Yes. Y'all, on your work today, on your written practice, be super duper careful and pay very close attention. Make sure that you don't add when you're supposed to subtract or subtract when you're supposed to add. Okay, you guys are getting the hang of it. You just got to make sure that you pay really close attention to what you're doing. Okay, your answer should be 2 and 3 tenths. 3 minus 1 is 2 for my whole number. And then for my numerator, I did 4 minus 1 to get that 3 there. Do we feel okay with this?
Yeah.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy for now? Okay, for now. All right, your written practice. You guys have a little over 30 minutes, which is awesome. I think most of you should have enough time to finish or get really close. Your written practice is going to start on page 283. Pay close attention. Numbers, keep it. Numbers 4 through 6 need an equation before you solve.